Amanda, the NerdyKrafter. I had the amazing opportunity to join Nancy Stamps and Tracy Schultz this weekend in their Stamp Wars. The company that was sponsoring us was Northwoods Rubberstamps, and this is the project that I did, and this is one of the little surprises that came in. Please go back and check out Nancy Stamps' channel to see the little surprises that got thrown in at us. But this is such a wonderful company. I've seen their products at some shows in the past and now have the opportunity to play with them. Oh my goodness, the details that are built into these red rubber stamps are just phenomenal. It really makes watercoloring so quick, simple, and easy. So this is the project I did for our live. And of course, we have to add some little glitter and bling to this. It's one of the things this company is known for, utilizing art glitter glue and adding a little bit of shine to all their projects. You can see I added my little bluebirds and then just a little bit to my barn in the back. But these sunflowers just really spoke to me. So I'm going to do another project with this little set here, this little sunflower set with the mini barn. I'm not sure what I'm going to make it into quite yet, but this is the other piece that just said, ooh, let's play with this. I may get into this one tonight. We'll see. Let's see how long this first piece takes us to watercolor. So I did stamp it while we were on the live. So I've got that pre-stamped here. So let's start playing. So for those of you that know me, I love watercoloring. I use Tombow markers all the time as my watercolor of choice. That is what this company uses also, so it's actually a really perfect fit. Oops, let me just adjust my camera just a little bit. Sorry about that. So that helps out a lot. When I found out we were doing this company, I was like, yay, they use Tombows. Tombows are my favorite. I created this map for myself with all my little palettes over here off to the side so I can quickly and easily see what numbers and what colors I'm putting down. I'm just going to add some new colors down for this because this was for the live the other day. And so now I need to get them rehydrated and ready to watercolor tonight. So I'm hoping everybody's having a wonderful week, that they had fun over the weekend, got to get some crafting done. Hopefully you were inspired by the crafting that we did on Saturday night. Like I said, if you have not had a chance to take a look at Nancy's channel, please go take a look. I will link it in the description below, along with the link to the live that we did. It was so much fun. I was so nervous. And the surprises were not as bad as they could have been. I think she kind of had mercy on me since it's my first time. The first surprise was that you had to use watercolors. Now for me, that was phenomenal because that's exactly what I use. That's my medium of choice. For them, I think that kind of got them a little bit outside their comfort zone. So it was good, I think. But the second one was we had to use our little hands. And we did have to add glitter onto our project, which glitter is one of my arch nemesis. But I did it, and I was actually pretty surprised at how well it came out. It kind of shocked me. So I don't know. You may see some glitter pop up here and there in some future projects. Now, for those of you that have seen me before, I use more of a dry method of watercoloring. I come in and I activate my watercolor brush. I pinch off the excess water, so I've got very little bit of water on my watercolor brush. I am not making my wrist move in all weird formations. I am simply just moving the paper around to help me get what I need, quick, fast, and simple. I'm utilizing the artist's drawn lines here, which they do an amazing job of helping to show us right where the highlights and the darker areas of our project should be. So I'm starting off with a little bit of orange in here, and I'm going to work in the yellow, and I'm going to kind of blend that together. So you kind of see I'm scrubbing those two colors together to blend. I don't mind leaving white spaces. White is good. Good to lay down more color. Scrub, scrub, scrub. So I always find watercoloring so relaxing and so therapeutic for me. It is something that just really speaks to my soul, makes me super happy. I'm going to just come in and just dot in a little bit of this light color here. I want to just add a little texture to my project. That was actually some of the things that I did not do on my previous one. So let's, while I got the pen out, let's do the same thing. It's just a way to add some additional texture, especially when we get into the center here. It's little things that when you go back, you may not see them really close, far away like this, but when you get close up to it, you're able to see it. And I'm just randomly putting in some little dots there. And then let me do it with the next color too. So I'm going to come in and do some of the brown in the center. So I just want to darken this up a little bit. I do always start off with the watercolor, but then might come back later with the back side of my pen. The front side is a brush. This is a bullet nib. And just add in a little bit of texture. So when I'm finishing off the project that I did on the live, and two, I'm going to be watercoloring a new piece. So you're going to see kind of the progression of both pieces here. So let's add some more of that 933. That's a number that's a little hard to see there. I'm going to add some of that into the middle. Oops, my brush got dry. And the reason I knew it was dry is because when I picked up the color and tried to place it down, it did not move at all. So 947 is a little bit of a lighter brown. And you'll notice I'm not just coming in and doing brush strokes. I'm patting the color in. It leaves some white, which is good for me. And then it just gives it that another layer texture. The artist drawn lines really help a ton with that also. There we go. And this time I'm going to do the stalk in a brown. I think I'm going to just add, I liked Tracy brought a little bit of the brown into the background. I used the green. She used some brown. So I think I'm going to do a little combination of both. And right now, all I'm doing is adding the brown right where the artist drawn lines are for that grass in the background. And then for the leaves, I'm going to bring in, this one's more of a teal color to start with. I do like to bring in multiple colors when I'm watercoloring because I find that they blend really well together. It gives it some more dimension. It allows the colors to kind of pop off the page a little bit. It doesn't look so flat. The thing I like about the Tombow markers is that most of the colors do have multiple layers of colors in them. So as soon as you add water to them, more than just the main color comes out. So the green has a little bit of olive and brown in it. The purples have a little bit of pink in them. So it adds a little bit of dimension to it. And it makes it so that they're not so flat. Now you can buy a palette with colors in it that are pre-mixed for you. But a lot of times you've got to do some color mixing yourself. You'll see I do a little bit of that with the pens to get one of my gray colors. But all in all, most of the time, I just use the colors as they are and just mix a couple together. That seems to work really well. I love my palette that I can put down my colors, and then I can quickly pick them up and activate them with the water. Alright, so I decided this time for my barn, I want to do a red barn. So I think Tracy did the red barn, and Nancy and I did a blue barn. I don't know why the blue barn kind of spoke to me, but something a little different. Now I do find with the red in the Tombow line, I do generally have to go over it a couple times. This is a smaller barn than the other one, so might not require as many layers. but the red generally does require a little bit darker layering of the color than some of the other colors do. This one's actually laying down really nice. This paper that they have with the company is a beautiful paper. I do clean my brush really good in between the yellows and in between the reds, because those two colors, yellow, everything will turn brown with it, and red just holds on forever and ever and ever and has a hard time letting go. So, you probably saw me make this color during the live also. So what this is it's 2 lines of the 969 brown and a half a line of the 526 blue. And by mixing them together, it comes up with a really beautiful gray color. There is nothing really truly white in nature. Everything has some type of color to it. So I make this color quite a bit, and I use it for a couple different reasons. So one, for the white areas to give it a little bit more color to it. And two, for the darker areas, for the areas where, you know, the artist drawn lines are darker and I want to bring in another layer of dimension or shadow to it, I will use that to just bring in a little bit more dimension and help those colors pop off the page just a little bit more. It's just amazing how a little bit of gray can really help with that. And a lot of this, so I don't know if you'll believe it or not, but there's not a whole lot of teachers out there teaching watercolor and doing layers and dimension on projects and how to use grays as undertones and stuff. But there are a lot of teachers in the Copic world that do this. So a lot of times I will take a Copic class and I've crosswalked my Tombow markers to Copic so I can actually attend a Copic or an alcohol coloring class and crosswalk and use my watercolors and follow the same techniques. And I love that because it really stretches my knowledge. It helps me figure out how to layer. Now, when Copics use 2 or 3 colors in order to, shade things in, I may use one color and then add a little bit of gray or add the color in multiple times. So every time I layer the color, it adds some more dimension to it. So you notice earlier I mentioned that I used a dry technique when watercoloring. The clouds or the sky in the background is the only time that I bring in what they call a wet on wet technique. And it's where I lay the water down first and then bring the color in. It really allows the sky to have freedom of movement and flow. So that's how I really like to do my skies in the background. I'm going to come back in with my fine points here and add some texture. Especially on a sunflower. This center part is that's where all the goodness of a sunflower is, where the seeds are. I did buy a whole head of a sunflower once from a farmer's market and peel it apart. It was so much fun. It was such a blast. And every once in a while, I'm just going to come right in and bring in some of that color straight on. I have a friend that likes to say it's like this, bringing in the scary dark. So it's just coming in with some of that darker color and just letting it sit. And I can always go back and hit it with a little bit of water if I want to tone it down, or I just let it sit. Now we were able to color that up super quick. So you know what? Let's go ahead and stamp the other image that's in the set that I have not colored yet. Now, I live in Arizona, sunny Arizona, and we do not have seasons in Arizona. So when I see all these beautiful fall leaves and everything, I'm sitting here going, oh, these are gorgeous, but we really don't do seasons in Arizona. It is just hot, and then I guess what the rest of the world would consider like a fall, spring type weather, because we don't get snow in at least the Phoenix metro area. Oh, actually, no, I take that back. We have had snow, I think, 3 times since I've been here, and I've been here since I was 3 years old. So it does happen once in a blue moon, but not very often. So I love red rubber. There's just something about red rubber and how it stamps. Now, with my stamp positioner, there is a foam mat in the back here, and I do generally recommend taking that out when you're stamping the red rubber, but I wanted a little bit more definition on it, so I went ahead and left that one in there. So I'm thinking, because I'm not really into fall leaves, so I can either go with a green palette with this, or I can do a sepia palette. And I often will do a sepia palette because I think that just adds so much beauty to a project to do something in sepia. So with the sepia, I'm going to use a combination of the 969 and the 947. It may bring in a little bit of my homemade gray too. So I'm going to start with my 947. And I'm just going to move, actually, you know what? I'm going to take that back. Rewind. Let's do the 969. Let's hit the dark areas first, and then I'll bring in the 947. So let's hit the dark sides. So all these areas where I'm seeing this dark, these lots of dots in here, this is, the artist has done the work for me. They're telling me I don't have to think these are where the darkest parts of this leaf should be. Now I can use light source in all of the rules that were taught and do the work, like the underside of the leaf, because this leaf's covering this one is going to be where the darkest is. But sometimes I don't want to think about it. Sometimes I just want to have fun and color. I'm just going to color that whole thing in because I will be using it. When I'm doing sepia, I do use a lot of it. So when I just want to watercolor and have fun, then why do I want to take the time to come in and try to figure out where the dark needs to be and where the light needs to be on a project? I just want to have fun. So I'm going to let this artist, which did a phenomenal job with adding all these beautiful little dots for me, just do the work so I can sit back and relax. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn on a little bit of music for you and let you just watch along while I watercolor this piece. I hope you enjoy, and I'll come back at the end and we'll talk about the projects. Thank you. All right. So I've added my sepia color, and that is still a little damp, so I'm going to let that sit up and dry just a little bit. Here's the last one that we did, and I did get a little bit of that sprinkling on top of there when I was dusting it with a little bit of water spritz there. But just so cute, adorable, easy to color. You saw me color those up super fast. And here's that original one that we did. I will turn these last two into some cards and post them out on my Instagram page, so come back and take a look at these three beautiful pieces that we watercolored. Thank you again so much to Nancy Stamps and the Foiling Snobs and Northwoods Rubberstamps. This set is White Oak Leaf Cluster and Sunflower Farmhouse. So if you're interested in picking this set up, it is absolutely beautiful. Again, throw in our Foiling Snobs, and then of course, our helping hands. Thank you all so much for joining. This is Amanda, the NerdyKrafter. I had such fun on Stamp Wars this past weekend. So please go check it out. Check out Nancy Stamps. Check out Northwoods Rubberstamps. These beautiful red rubber stamps. They do the work for you when you're watercoloring, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.